beginning to end, starting in Abu Dhabi. So have a look at that. So Abu Dhabi was our starting point, and then we moved to Muscat, which was quite a short little hop for us. It only took us 13 hours. What's 13 hours? It's nothing for us. And from Muscat, we headed to our current resting place, which is Ahmedabad, over the Arabian Sea. And we broke a record already. That was Bertrand Piccard, who was the pilot there. He managed to get his first record under his belt for this adventure, and it was the longest distance travelled, the longest predefined distance travelled by a solar airplane. It's also the first time that we've ever had a solar airplane in Asia, not just in India, but in Asia. So as you can imagine, there's been huge amounts of interest when we landed in Gujarat, which was one of the pioneer states in India when it comes to climate change and climate development. One of the first places to have a climate change minister. And it's also the home state of the current Prime Minister of India, Mr. Modi. So that has also helped us really get a lot of interest. All of the big newspapers in India have been talking about us non-stop. The Times of India has even gone so far as to start talking about the members of the team and what they eat. I think they've exhausted everything else about Solar Impulse, but we're very happy to have all of that coverage. Well, we are hoping to take off today. We're still going to stay optimistic about this. One little bit of paperwork is outstanding, which is delaying things slightly. But when we leave, we're doing another pit stop, as we call them, which means that we have 2 flights back to back. And we do this really just to try and get as far as we can, as quickly as we can. And the first leg of that pit stop will be to Varanasi. So let's head over to Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh. Varanasi, one of the holy cities, the most holy cities in India. There are Hindi Muslim shrines, and it's also on the banks of the Ganges, which, as I'm sure you know, is actually a goddess in India. From Varanasi, we head off the following day to Mandalay in Myanmar, formerly known as Burma, and we'll be staying there for a few days, weather permitting. Not expecting to stay too long, but we want to get off as soon as we can to China. And our first stop in China will be Chongqing. And from there, we will head over to Nanjing. And the interest has started already in China. We've had so much interest in China. Millions and millions of people are already waiting for Solar Impulse to come. Even before we started this round-the-world flight attempt, we had many Chinese journalists who were actually here with me in Monaco. So there's a lot of interest already in China. And why are we going to Nanjing? Well, Nanjing, rather than, say, Shanghai, for example, on the coast, it was deemed that Shanghai, there was a bit too much unstable weather, so best to stay in Nanjing, which is a good launching point for the big one. The big one being 5 days, 5 nights across the Pacific to Hawaii. And again, 5 days, 5 nights. Think of that, one pilot in a cockpit which is less than 4 meters cubed. And that's going to be André Borschberg, who is today's pilot. We believe, although this is a bit up in the air, we'll just have to see who's going to be taking that first leg. And the next pilot will take over from the first pilot for Hawaii to Phoenix. Now, we talk a lot about that first leg to Hawaii, but it's no breeze either, this second leg to Phoenix. It's going to be at least 3 days, maybe 4 days, weather dependent. If the wind is not in our favor, it could be another very grueling 4-day flight. This takes us to America. From there, we're going to revisit our adventure from 2 years ago across America to mid-USA, to an airport to be decided, and then to JFK in New York. And from there, we will prepare for the transatlantic crossing, another 4, maybe 5-day adventure to Southern Europe or Northern Africa. You see it's starting to get a little bit vague as we get over here, and that's because we have lots of different options. It all depends on weather, and whatever is the most appropriate flight trajectory will take us to this point, either Southern Europe, maybe Spain, or Northern Africa. And we have a good relationship with Morocco, because that was our first big mission with Solar Impulse, from Switzerland to Morocco and back. So we already have a lot of contacts prepared for us in Morocco. And we will need some time there to prepare for the last leg, which is going to be another very, very complicated leg, taking us to Abu Dhabi. 3-4 days again. And look at that. Look at where we're crossing over. We're crossing over sea, over land, over places that are in conflict. It's going to be very, very tricky, not just for weather reasons, but for geopolitical reasons. And our air traffic controllers will really have their work cut out for that last flight. And we hope, we pray, inshallah, that we're going to be back in Abu Dhabi sometime in July or early August. There you go, quick recap there of our route, but let's head back to today, Ahmedabad to Varanasi, which we are hoping, the flight was expected to be leaving at, to be precise, midnight GMT or 1 a.m. Central European time here in Monaco, but we are expecting that to be delayed slightly, and as soon as we get any more information, you will hear it here first on Solar Impulse TV, and we'll be spreading all the information via social media. Lots of people are checking us out already on Twitter, early morning in India. So Ahmedabad to Varanasi. Now, I've had some trouble pronouncing the names of those airports, and luckily we have our friend Sujata Henry, who has been on call to help us. And let's hear Sujata pronounce perfectly the names of the airports in Ahmedabad and Varanasi. Help us out, Sujata.
Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport in Ahmedabad. Lal Bahadur Shastri Airport in Varanasi. Namaste.
Namaste to you too, Sujata. Thank you very much. So there are some images of Ahmedabad and Varanasi. Varanasi, the next scheduled stop of Solar Impulse 2, which is currently on the ground at Ahmedabad International Airport. We're going to go over to the plane now. Let's take a look at some of the latest images coming to us from Solar Impulse 2. And here you can see the ground crew surrounding the aircraft, with André Borschberg, the pilot, who is waiting patiently and calmly for takeoff. A reminder again, if you've just joined us, we are expecting a delay, not for any weather reasons or technical reasons to do with the plane. This time it is due to administration. Bureaucracy is our enemy. There's one piece of paper that was missing from all the barrage of information that was needed by the airport authorities. And as soon as we get that, then André will be on his way. So let's just stay with André and Solar Impulse 2 for a couple of minutes to give you the latest pictures coming to us live here on Solar Impulse TV.
You have the video on the front. Is it moving or is it not moving for you? Yeah. Is it moving or is it not moving? Okay. So il commence à faire chaud ici. Hein? It started to be warm, so it started to move, gentlemen.
Now it's moving.
The mosquitoes are biting hard. Et vous avez un petit peu de mosquito par hasard?
So the camera seems to be not working properly.
Ouais. Les gars.
Tu as Daniel?
Oh, ils vont chercher l'option. C'est comment ce que je faisais déjà pour la faire bouger la caméra numéro 1 là? Non. Ah mais c'est vrai, ça ne pas. Non, j'ai réinitialisé, j'ai fait. Et c'est ça.
You're watching Solar Impulse TV live, and you're looking at pictures currently of our mission engineers at the Monaco Control Center, currently in contact with André Borschberg, who's sitting patiently in his cockpit in Solar Impulse 2 in Ahmedabad. Now, the current situation is that the estimated departure time is in just under 12 minutes' time. However, we are expecting there to be a slight delay because we are caught up in an administrative situation where we're expecting one more piece of paper to be signed, hopefully getting us underway. Now, nothing is confirmed right now, but nothing ever is with Solar Impulse. There's an adventure every time we take off, whether it's a relatively short flight like this one, or the extremely long flights that we're preparing for across the oceans. So what you can see now is André Borschberg going through his usual pre-flight preparation. As ever with any flight, there's a checklist that needs to be ticked off, and André is going through that right now.
Okay.
Just to confirm, the plane is in perfect working order. The pilot is happy. The weather is perfect today.
Okay, that's good.
It's actually administration that is currently holding us up.
Ouais, ça avait l'air de marcher, si on peut faire. Ça bouge pas, non?
Now, we have had situations in the past where our flight window has been extremely short, but we're quite lucky today with the weather. We can stay for a little longer, until 9 a.m. local time in India, so that we do still have time. I know that people are working furiously behind the scenes to get this administration situation sorted out so that we can take off for Varanasi.
Okay. Donc Windows Static Test. Because static test. Pardon, hein. Ok. C'est un essai. Okay, et ça c'est le dernier point.
This is Solar Impulse TV with live images of André Borschberg sitting in the cockpit of Solar Impulse 2 at Ahmedabad International Airport. And we're also showing you live pictures of the Monaco Control Center as we go through the final pre-flight preparations for the takeoff from Ahmedabad to Varanasi. We do have a delay. It's an administrative delay. We've had a problem, we believe, with immigration. There was one piece of paper that wasn't signed off, and because of that, we currently do not have permission to take off from the airport in Ahmedabad. So just to clarify that, we don't currently have permission to fly from Ahmedabad International, and that's because of an administrative slip-up, which we are trying to get resolved right now.
We noted everything.
Okay, very good.
And until we have that situation resolved, we're going to just have to go through the usual pre-flight preparations as if everything was okay. And then it's a waiting game.
Thank you. And also
André is currently
your
quite
cockpit
comfortable,
battery
so he's
charger is
happy to
on.
stay in the cockpit. He won't have to leave, even if he has to stay on the ground for an extra hour or two. We spoke to Raymond, the flight director, a little earlier on the show, and half jokingly he said this would be a chance for André to practice his resting periods.
Correction, cockpit battery on.
And
Okay.
the reason he has to do that is because when we embark on the huge transoceanic flights, they're going to be lasting for 5 days, 5 nights, and each pilot can only sleep for a maximum of 20 minutes at one time. So if he can get a bit of practice in now, so much the better.
So I confirm I don't need to activate the telemetry on the PMC, so everything is working.
Well, as we wait for a
fine.
further update, why don't we take you back to the highlights so far of everything that's happened to us from Abu Dhabi right the way through to Ahmedabad. Let's take a look.
André has worked on this airplane with a technical team for 12 years. And I think it's more than normal that he makes the first leg.
Great flight. We have great sunlight. Alors ce soir à Ahmedabad, hein?
We thought that we could implement a test phase for resting.
So look at that, a magical adventure already from Ahmedabad, then to Amman, to Ahmedabad, to Abu Dhabi, to, let me start again, Abu Dhabi, Amman, Ahmedabad. Too many A's in that. And it's been a magical adventure already over those 2 legs. And the 3rd leg we are hoping will be starting shortly. But we're held up by what? Not weather, not by a technical problem, not by a problem with the pilot, but by a piece of paper. Earlier this morning, we spoke to the pilots, André Borschberg, who's flying today, and Bertrand Picard, just to get an update on what's happening. And here's what we learned.
I think it's not so much challenges, it's more about preparing our flights over the oceans. So it's building up our homes, really feeling comfortable in this airplane. We'll continue to do some test flights as well. So it's mission training on one side, test flight on the other side, is to bring the airplane to the next destination And of course, it's to meet all these wonderful people, government officials, public. I hope to give him the airplane in the best condition, in the same condition I received it from him when he arrived it here.
I hope at this point that you can take off, because we still have no clearance. The custom has still grounded the plane, and the ATC has said we cannot clear the plane if we don't have the papers of custom. And there are two different opinions inside the custom, so we don't yet know at this point if the administration lets us go. So you see the type of challenges we have. If we want to fly around the world, it's not only flying, it's a lot about administration. And if there is no adventures anymore in the future, it's not because of lack of ideas. It's because of excessive administration. This I can tell you.
Well, that's a new one for us, isn't it? To be held on the ground because of administration. What's going to be next? We'll have to find out. That's part of the adventure of this round-the-world flight attempt. Bertrand Piccard just explaining that, as he says, there are two opinions on whether or not we can take off. Clearly, the one that says we can't seems to be in the ascendancy at the moment. So we'll just have to hope and pray that the opinion that we can leave is going to take charge over that one. Right now, you can see what's happening. Well, not a lot is the short answer to that. So we're looking at pictures of Solar Impulse 2 with André Borschberg in the cockpit. Still going through his normal pre-flight procedure because we are still just about within the original timing, which meant takeoff in 2 minutes. Doesn't look like we're going to be going anywhere in the next 2 minutes. And we are waiting for that situation to be resolved.
Other aircraft, they also need to be released. This is very important, otherwise we have a big problem. So we need to be sure before we take off with SIB that both transport aircraft will be also released to fly.
Now, midnight GMT, 1 a.m. in Monaco, and it's 5:30 in Ahmedabad International Airport. You may have just joined us expecting a takeoff. As you can see, it hasn't happened yet. We live in hope, don't we? Not the first time that a takeoff of Solar Impulse 2 has been delayed, or Solar Impulse 1 for that matter.
Comment? Non, non. Schon wieder essen. Martin.
Können wir sonst den andere anleiten, die Telemetrierate nachzumachen, wenn er sonst nicht die Zeit hat? Okay.
Neue Koordinaten, aber ich komme mal.
Nur wenn es zeitlich klappt. Zurzeit sind wir auf Fahrt. Ich sage mal, dass wir das so wünschen.
Okay, aber das heißt, der Telemetrierat, das steht hier drin. Ich kann es nicht vorlesen, wer Ihnen das sagt.
Wir würden dann jetzt auf 20 Millisekunden und wenn wir das halbieren wollen, müssen wir das Intervall verdoppeln. Also 40 Millisekunden. Ja, hast du wirklich so. Machen wir zuerst das Signal und dann die Telemetrie.
Genau.
This is Solar Impulse TV, live pictures coming from Ahmedabad International Airport. You can see André Borschberg, who's going through pre-flight preparations, not overly stressed because he's still got his bandana on. The takeoff has been delayed, If you've just joined us expecting to see the live takeoff, it's still going to be a few more minutes, maybe a bit longer, but let's see if we can get an update in just a few seconds.
Solar impulse from solar control.
We're going to take a quick break from André Borschberg, who seems to be having a cup of tea, to head back to Monaco Mission Control, where I think maybe we'll all stop for a coffee if we carry on like this for a bit, because we're not quite sure what's going on. Maybe we can get an update from Raymond with a bit more information. The man in the hot seat, Raymond, hello.
Yes, hello.
Thanks for coming back again. You did promise you'd give us an update, and I guess you've got one for us.
Yeah, okay, so if you look at the images from Ahmedabad, the aircraft is still on the tarmac. We're fully ready, all tests are done except the engines run up. Niels told me we need about 20 minutes from this position until the takeoff position, but we are blocked by the administration, the immigration problems and so on.
Okay, and since we spoke at the beginning of the show around about half an hour ago, that was the same situation. Is there any update? Have we heard back from them? I'm sure that people from Solar Impulse are working very, very hard to try and get this resolved. Have you spoken to any of them?
Just called 5 minutes ago Gregory Blatt. He's with Bertrand. They are in the terminal. They are dealing with this. And of course, for us, it's, well, we still have some time left, but it would be a pity to kill the mission because, you know, we are operating on a 2 days plan now. We have a pit stop in Varanasi, and to find such a window is not easy due to the weather and all the logistic preparation, everything. So I really hope we will not miss this window.
So we're relying on the legendary powers of persuasion of Bertrand Piccard to work his magic. He's done it before.
I think if I'm looking back what we achieved in the last years, that's why I'm still confident that he will achieve and that we will be released to fly before 9 o'clock, which is now in 3 hours and 55 minutes.
Because we've still got a bit of time. I'm sure there'll be time for coffee for you and the rest of the team to keep everyone going. And André as well has already started. He's keeping himself warm.
Yeah.
This is the first time that the plane's been delayed for this reason. We've had lots of other reasons, but not this.
It's the first time, but we'll take, I said to André, please make a test phase for resting. So, because in this flight we are planning to test a lot of things to prepare for ocean crossing, and one of the things we have to test and to train is also the cockpit seat in different positions, and so they did it in Payerne, you know, they slept one full night in the cockpit, but it's interesting now because he said also it's warm and the mosquitoes are fighting, are attacking him, so it's interesting to see if yoga can help maybe.
Well, we'll find out, won't we? And yoga, of course, is how André is going to prepare for those 5 days and 5 nights. And Bertrand Piccard prefers self-hypnosis. A lot of yoga has been going on with the plane as well. Have you tried it yourself? You're a big man. It could be good for your back.
I tried yoga in Abu Dhabi. It was not easy, so, but the team was laughing, looking at me.
Well, maybe we could do it all together on Solar Impulse TV. I'm sure that'd be entertaining for everyone. Okay. We will keep many ways to keep you entertained whilst we wait for the plane to take off. Raymond, and thank you again. And
I'll come immediately if I receive good news. Okay?
Or bad news.
Cross fingers.
News would be great, but thank you very much, Raymond. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
You're welcome.
And we are still going to stay hopeful that the plane will take off. Just to take you through again what's happened if you're just joining us now. We can't take off for administrative reason, not for any other reason, for example, technical or problems with the pilot. It's the first time this has happened. The plane is stuck on the ground. Why? Because there's one piece of paper outstanding. It's a customs issue that was not signed off. And Bertrand Piccard is, as we speak, negotiating with the customs officials in India, and we know that he's very good at persuading people. Don't forget, this is a man who managed to convince lots and lots of businesses to give lots and lots of money for this project when he didn't have any experience in building an airplane, no experience of working in the aviation industry. He started with a PowerPoint presentation some 13 years ago now, and from that he met André Borschberg, and André put the team together to build the plane, and Bertrand went around the world convincing people that it was a good idea to invest in this project, a plane that could fly day and night without any fuel, using only solar energy. He managed to do that when everyone in the aviation industry said it would be impossible. So this could be another potentially impossible situation, and we think that Bertrand, well, we're still hopeful he can pull another miracle out of the bag and get this plane and this man here, André Borschberg, off the ground. That's the mission control team you can see there. Staying calm, staying patient, doing their job, and we will all be here until Solar Impulse takes off, or if, and we hope this isn't going to be the case, if we are told definitively that there will not be a flight today. You heard Raymond saying to me that they really don't want this plane to, this flight to be aborted, because this is a pit stop. We have a flight today planned, and we have another flight tomorrow. So once the plane has landed in Varanasi, there's going to be a very short layover. We change pilots, we take off from Varanasi to Mandalay the following day. And that means that the weather has to be perfect from the beginning here in Ahmedabad through to Mandalay. And that's a very, very tall order. At the moment, the weather is great for both legs. The second leg's slightly more complicated in terms of geography and weather conditions. So if this flight is aborted, that means that we have to wait for another weather window, which is good for both flights. And we know that coming up over the next few days, the weather is not looking that great in Mandalay. So it could be several days before we can actually take off from Ahmedabad. And we're not just talking about the plane and the pilots. There are a huge number of people with Solar Impulse around the plane. You can see a few of them there, a few of the members of the ground crew. A massive logistical challenge, because they're all going to be having to stay in hotels and stay occupied for the next few days when they were expecting to be heading off. Everything's packed up as well. We have all of our kit packed up. We've got 2 planes that are going to be waiting for Solar Impulse to take off and then heading to Mandalay, with some staying in Varanasi. So all of that will be delayed. Just to give you an idea of the complications surrounding this project.
Immigration. Topic.
So live pictures from Ahmedabad International Airport of André Borschberg in the cockpit of Solar Impulse 2, waiting patiently to take off, hopefully not getting too bitten by mosquitoes as he does so. Due to an administrative delay, we're going to have to stay on the ground for the moment. What that means is that the bureaucracy is keeping us here. Nothing to do with the plane, nothing to do with the pilot. All of that is fine. The weather is perfect. This is actually one of the easiest flights so far, maybe one of the easiest throughout the whole of around the world. So slightly frustrating that it's administration that's keeping us on the ground. We need to have a piece of paper signed off. Bertrand Piccard right now is doing his best to resolve that situation, along with other members, senior members of the Solar Impulse team. Earlier this morning, we spoke to André and Bertrand, and André started by explaining some of the particular aspects of this flight, and then Bertrand gave us a bit more information about the problems here in Ahmedabad. Let's hear what they had to say.
I think it's not so much challenges, it's more about preparing our flights over the oceans. So it's building up our homes, really feeling comfortable in this airplane. We'll continue to do some test flights as well. So it's mission training on one side, test flight on the other side, is to bring the airplane to the next destination. And of course it's to meet all these wonderful people, government, officials, public. I hope to give him the airplane in the best condition, in the same condition I received it from him when he arrived it here.
I hope at this point that you can take off, because we still have no clearance. The custom has still grounded the plane, and the ATC has said we cannot clear the plane if we don't have the papers of custom. And there are two different opinions inside the custom, so we don't yet know. At this point, the administration lets us go. So you see the type of challenges we have. If we want to fly around the world, it's not only flying. It's a lot about administration. And if there is no adventures anymore in the future, it's not because of lack of ideas. It's because of excessive administration. This I can tell you.
There you go, Bertrand Piccard managing to keep his cool just about. I wonder what he's doing now. What I do know is that he is, as we speak, trying to resolve that situation, speaking to customs. Customs are waiting for a piece of paper that needs to be signed off by Solar Impulse. The air traffic control team at the airport are refusing to let the aircraft leave until they get that piece of paper. So that's where we are now. And Bertrand Piccard using his famed powers of persuasion. And maybe he's trying a bit of hypnosis as well. Let's see if that will help. Who knows? Anything. We'll take anything we can to get the plane off the ground. But until then, let's just remind ourselves of everything we've achieved so far on this adventure that 13 years ago the aviation industry said would be impossible. We already have 2 legs under our belt of this 12-leg journey across the world. Let's remind ourselves what happened in Abu Dhabi.
André has worked on this airplane with a technical team for 12 years. And I think it's more than normal that he makes the first leg.
Great flight, you have great sunlight.
Ahmedabad, hein
Reminder of everything that's happened to us so far on this round-the-world flight attempt. Loads of great moments, lots of emotion already, and the number of people we saw in Ahmedabad during our open days was extraordinary. Thousands and thousands of people really, really keen to see this plane. And I know that there's a lot of interest in India. A lot of people are commenting on social media. Lots of people watching this show, I think, as well, and saying, well, what's going on? What's happening? When is this plane going to take off? I've got Vincent Colgrave here, who is one of the social media managers for Solar Impulse. Hello.
Hello, Connor.
And you've been checking the social networks and Twitter in particular. You've got your iPhone there as well. So you've been looking, you're saying there's some great comments coming.
Yes, exactly. We have one nice comment from Arish, who is even asking to the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Modi, to help us because we are stuck in Ahmedabad. So this is interesting to see how he will react.
Okay, so what does he say exactly?
Narendra Modi, would you like to please explain Make in India to these gentlemen now, unless every level of government encourages initiative, a few glossy brochures won't help.
Well, there you go, going straight to the top. Sometimes it works, doesn't it? Cut out the middleman, go straight to the man at the top. So the Prime Minister of India has been asked to resolve this situation. Anyone else, Vincent?
Anyone on Twitter, we have like a lot of questions that are asked and so on. People are saying that it's an opportunity for us, that we'll gain something at the end of this delay. So let's hope they're right here. And we try to answer everything, but it's difficult.
It is difficult. The pressure is definitely mounting. And since the beginning of this trip, from Abu Dhabi onwards, you've had interest from India, obviously, but not just. I mean, the Chinese, not necessarily on Twitter, but on other social media, they've been commenting, and there's a lot of attention on us already in China.
Exactly, we are quite active on Weibo, and we have like...
Weibo is like the Chinese version
of Twitter. Exactly, and we have also a website that we've been building with our partner Sina in China that is run also by our team, and we have a lot of comments. A lot of people are following us in China and expecting the arrival of the plane there.
And do you know what kind of things they're saying? Is there anything in particular, or is it the message of Solar Impulse? Is it the technology? What kind of things are you hearing?
It's both. It's both the technology of the plane, it's also the message, because everything that is linked about clean technologies is really an important issue and in China. So they're really looking forward to the arrival of the plane and seeing what will happen with the plane in China. So a lot of expectations.
And once we arrive in Nanjing, which is our final Chinese stopping point before we head over the Pacific, we're going to be there for quite a while because we want to stay there. And I know this is part of your job, is spreading the message, what we're calling Future is Clean, amongst the Chinese people. What is Future is Clean?
Future is Clean is a movement that was initiated by Bertrand Piccard and André Borschberg. And the goal is really to create a movement in 2015, really to enjoy the media coverage that we have with the plane, to gather as much people as possible on the platform, futurisclean.org, where they have to answer a simple question. Do you want concrete actions for a clean future? Our goal is to bring all those people to COP21, the conference
United Nations Climate Change Conference in
Paris in December, and to say, this is what happened in 2015, so have a look at it, and take concrete actions, because we need to find solutions, and the solar airplane flying around the world is a good example of what can be achieved.
Well, look, Vincent, we've got a bit of time now. Why don't people start now? If you're watching this via solarimpulse.com, open a new tab now and type in futureisclean.org. and then just take us through what you need to do, Vincent.
It's simple. Just click on I agree, and then cast your vote, and then come back, ask your friends, your families, shout "Future is clean" because we need your support. We need the support of everyone here.
Okay, and after that, I think there are games involved. You can win prizes.
Exactly. There is one prize. We're working with Mazda, our host partner in Abu Dhabi, and the goal is the most active on this platform, the one who brought the most people, will win a trip to Abu Dhabi to watch the landing of Solar Impulse 2 there. So that's quite exciting.
That is quite exciting. For now, though, we want to make sure we get off the ground. If you're with us thinking, what's going on? Where's the plane? Is it in the air? No, it isn't, is the short answer. It's on the ground at Ahmedabad International Airport. And we now have some help from some of our Twitter fans who are trying to get in touch with the Prime Minister of India, who should be up by now, shouldn't he? What time is it now in India? Let's have a look. It is coming up to 6 a.m. In India. So when he wakes up, I'm sure he's going to get a flood of messages. And maybe, fingers crossed, that will resolve the situation and get us off the ground. Now, this is a new situation for us at Solar Impulse. It's not because of wind. It's not because of a problem with the airplane or anything else. It's a problem with customs. Of all the things it could be, customs. Waiting for a piece of paper to be signed off. The air traffic controllers at Ahmedabad International Airport are saying that until they get that, all the paperwork, they're not going to let the plane take off. So we're in a waiting game now. And André is not too hot at the moment, but as we heard from Raymond, the mosquitoes are starting to gather, and he is a sitting target at the moment. So he wants to get going and take off. So until then, we are waiting as well. And we're going to head back and take a look at what we can see from Ahmedabad International Airport. Let's just see what's happening right now.
Okay, then try the wake up button.
And there you go. We have an empty plane. I think he probably got fed up being bitten. So he's headed off to stay comfortable. There you go. Look at that. A nice picture of an empty cockpit. And André is quite sensibly taking time out and preparing. Well, I can give you a bit more information now about this first flight, when it finally happens. Now, this is another frustration, really. It's not a particularly difficult flight in Solar Impulse terms. The weather is good. The trajectory is fairly simple. But to give you a bit more information, let's introduce you to our newest flight strategist, Eleonora Gava, who we spoke to earlier.
My name is Eleonora Grava. I come from Rome, in Italy, and I'm an astronautical engineer, and I'm here to work in the simulation team to define the best strategy for each leg for Solar Impulse around the world mission. For the first time, I am the person who the other has to be referred, and I am a kind of owner of this leg. Also, if I check with the rest of the team, that means Christoph. And no, it's good, it's nice, and a little bit of stress. You have to have a relationship with different culture, different ages, different way to see the work and way to see the life, but it's good fun. This leg has not too many difficulties in terms of geography or something like this. It's the most difficulties is the wind, because we have a lot of wind above 16,000 feet, and this wind has a different orientation respect to the aircraft. That means that during the flight, the aircraft should be pushed off its trajectory. To avoid this, we have a bad condition on the wind correction angle, that is all the instrumentation that try to counteract this action. So this is the main limit, because we can't fly above 16,000 feet, and that means that we lost a lot of velocity. So we have to find a solution to reach the destination airport at the right hour. Also because we have to avoid the air traffic, and also because if we arrive later, that means that the aircraft could not be setted for the fourth flight, the flight after.
Bonsoir.
And if we arrive later, that means that we have a long night flight and that we use a lot of battery. And we need to land with the higher state of charge of the battery for the second flight. So with the exception of strange something that could happen in the weather, that up to now is everything okay. Everything is okay.
That was Eleonora Grava, our newest member actually, of the flight strategy team, working with Christophe Bezot and Stéphane Young here at the Monaco Mission Control Center. This is actually the first flight she's taking charge of with her time in Solar Impulse, this flight from Ahmedabad to Varanasi. So as everyone, she's on standby. And they're all behind me there, you can see. Let's have a quick look. All of our mission control team members. Let's see if we can get a quick update, visual update. Okay, guys, is it yes, no, yes, no? Yeah? There you go, there you go. So that's the official technical answer of how things are going. So we're still in wait and see mode. And as soon as we have any definite information, we'll let you know. André Borschberg's actually left the plane because he was hanging around in there, and I think the mosquitoes. There you go, look at that, a sad sight. Solar Impulse empty, waiting for its pilot. Look, no one in there. André, I think, made the right decision. And I think that that's a pretty strong indicator that takeoff is not exactly imminent. When he does get back in the plane, i.e. when this administrative situation is sorted out, it will then take around 20 minutes for the ground crew to pull the plane from its current position on the apron to the tarmac so that it can take off. So we've still got a bit of time left. Now, earlier we spoke to Gregory Blatt. He's our head of communication, and he's the man, one of the people currently trying to sort out this situation. And we started by asking him to sum up his time in India so far.
India has been absolutely wonderful. The welcoming in India, and particularly in the state of Gujarat and here in the city of Ahmedabad, has been fantastic. We've had visits for the last 5 days. It has been non-stop. Our partners have done events. We've had public visits in the order of 20,000 people. We had ministers coming from Delhi. We had state ministers coming. It was just really charged with a lot of people, a lot of interest, and always the highlight is the little children. And the children to India grab my heart because they come, they look, they explore, and this is what we're doing this to inspire the future generations.
And Greg, you must be really happy with the amount of press interest.
So I've been told. I haven't had a chance to go through all the press myself, but the pilots are constantly solicited for interviews, live, recorded. Myself, other members of the team, but people tell me, as it has been covered, this is really a national event. We get people, when I go home at night in the evening, stopping us in the street and say, thank you for bringing your plane to India. Thank you for showing what is possible with solar energy and renewable technologies.
Now, Greg, the first flight's from Ahmedabad to Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh. Can you describe what's happening there?
Well, Varanasi is a pit stop. So it's a pit stop meaning we get there at about 8:30 at night, and then we leave earlier. We leave early the next morning to our next leg in Mandalay. A pit stop is a change of pilots, a change of teams. Not as many activities as we would have here, but still nonetheless press is planned, VIPs, and hopefully the Chief Minister will also greet us when we arrive.
Okay, many thanks, Greg. I look forward to speaking to you soon. There we were speaking to Gregory Blatt, our head of communications earlier. Very relaxed looking Greg. I'm sure he's not quite so relaxed now because he's locked in discussions with Bertrand Piccard and customs officials in Ahmedabad International Airport. We have an administrative problem, and as soon as we get that resolved, we're going to get off the ground and get to Varanasi, but everything has been shoved back already. As you can probably tell, we've crashed through our estimated time of departure. We don't yet have a time when we're going to be taking off. All the guys behind me in Mission Control are waiting patiently, and for now the flight has not been aborted. The flight is still a go. Luckily, we have quite a considerable window in terms of weather to allow us to stay on the tarmac until about 9 a.m. India time, 9 a.m. local time. So we've still got a bit of time to go. So it's a waiting game for now. We're always confident here in Solar Impulse. We've managed to do things that have been deemed impossible many times before, and this could be another one. Will bureaucracy finally be the thing that stops a Solar Impulse plane from taking off. We'll have to wait and see. Well, at the moment, we know that social media is going crazy. Twitter is blowing up, as they say. Lots of people talking about this, saying, what on earth is going on? I know that our Twitter supporters are putting pressure on the Prime Minister of India as well. You can see now our Twitter feed. I think this is the live Twitter feed as well. So we're just getting an example. Look at that. Loads of messages coming through all the time. As soon as the extra taxes are paid, I don't think our tax situation was part of it, but that bureaucracy at its max. And also hearing it's late in India. André Borschberg has left the cockpit. There you go. People commenting live on what's happening, watching Solar Impulse TV. Saw a couple of comments saying, look, sorry guys, I can't stay with you, but lots of people are staying with us. Everyone wants to know what's going on. So look, as you know, we're looking at your Twitter feed and you're watching solarimpulse.com. Talk to us directly. If you have any questions for us, we've got a bit of time on our hands now, and it would be a good time for us to try and answer those questions as soon as possible. Vincent from our social media team, he's standing by, he's checking all this, and we'll get him out again a little bit later if we have any of your questions, and like I said, we'll see if we can get those answered as soon as possible. Let's have a look at this one now. India should lead Solar Impulse, not stop it because of some stupid paperwork. I'm sure there'll be a lot of consensus around that. So all the messages, keep them coming, and again, if you have any questions, any more thoughts you want to share with us, we have some people here, some expert engineers who could answer some of those questions sitting just behind me in Mission Control Center. Looking at the plane now, we can see there's a bit of activity. We have the pilots there. You can see Bertrand Piccard speaking to André, who's got back inside the cockpit. Can't hear exactly what the conversation is, but Bertrand looks quite calm. I'm taking that as a good sign. But at the moment, we don't have any more. Gregory Blatt as well, who you saw a little earlier, the man with the natty hat. He is talking to André. So maybe we're going to get a decision either way. Either we take off, either we say it's definitely a no-go. These are live pictures you're looking at of Solar Impulse 2 at Ahmedabad International Airport. Pressure is being put on the Prime Minister of India by our supporters on Twitter. Look at that, the first one there. Prime Minister, wake up, ensure Solar Impulse is free to take off. Your country is being watched by the world, which it is. And we know we've had huge support from India, from the Indian authorities as well, I have to say. This is no way an attack on them. The Indian authorities in the state of Gujarat and in Uttar Pradesh and at a national level have been very, very supportive of this project. We've been on the front page of the Times of India and many other Indian publications, TV and radio. And everyone in India, I think, is behind this project. So everything is being done to make this project a success. So another one a little lower down here, saying, if it's going to be the same problem over Varanasi, better go straight to Mandalay. Ha ha ha. And look, they're still coming through now. India should lead the Solar Impulse, not stop it because of some stupid paperwork. Another comment there from our supporters on Twitter. I wonder if we'll get a reply from the Prime Minister. Maybe we will. If we do, you will hear it here first. So keep checking the different social networks, checking Twitter and Facebook. As soon as we get any more information, we'll get it on there, and you'll be the first to know about it. Again, do make sure that you try and contact us. Any more questions, let us have them, and we will do our best to answer them. During this landing, during this takeoff show, I was calling a landing show, Freudian slip there because we're not going anywhere right now. We have the pilot back in the cockpit. He left it earlier to take a short break, but as we can see, Bertrand Piccard is talking to him. What does that mean exactly? We're not quite sure yet.
Parlez voir, 1, 2, 3.
Well, a reminder of what's been happening whilst we've been in India. We heard from Gregory Blatt earlier, who was talking about the huge amounts of interest, the thousands of people that have been to see the plane over the last few days. And we put together a short film of some of the best parts of those public visits.
It was in news from many days, and I have an office today, so I just wake up early so that I can view this beautiful plane. It's very nice.
And when it landed in Ahmedabad, my first impulse was to see this plane.
I got the chance to see this plane, and now it's really amazing, finally, and thank you for giving us this chance. Really, thank you.
It's a fantastic scene, and really is a marvelous invention, and hopefully the future, definitely it is going to be success.
We don't missing this kind of the charm in our life, because it's the first time in our life that we're seeing this kind of solar plane in India.
Good morning, Ahmedabad. You know, the most important thing for us, for André and myself, is this badge here. You see, we could put India on our sleeve. We are finally on our way around the world. We've been working on that together.
It's just gone 6:10 in Ahmedabad. The plane is in Ahmedabad International Airport. You can see it there. And we have our pilot back in the cockpit. Still not entirely sure when the plane will take off. But I have a feeling that Prime Minister of India, Modi, is waking up to a stream of information about this, because I know that all of our supporters on Twitter have been talking about it, and the media has been following Solar Impulse very, very closely, so I'm sure they are aware of exactly what is going on. Will that make a difference? We'll have to wait and see. The reason that Solar Impulse is still on the ground at Ahmedabad International Airport is for a piece of paper. It was a customs problem. Customs expecting a piece of paper they didn't get, and because of that, the air traffic control team at Ahmedabad are refusing to let us take off. And as I said, after 6:10 now, we were supposed to have taken off at 5:30 local time at Ahmedabad International Airport. And we are now waiting for an update. Now, what's happening right now, we can see that the door is being affixed. That's the door being affixed to Solar Impulse 2. Now, that's got to be a good sign. Waiting for updates from Mission Control here in Monaco. And the fact they're going through, completing, in fact, these pre-flight preparations, we're going to take that as a sign that things are going smoothly behind the scenes. We haven't had direct contact with Bertrand Piccard and Gregory Blatt, who have been working really hard to resolve this situation.
If they have the letters from the Home Ministry, they can put my stamp and I can go. Otherwise, I'm stuck here and I cannot
for the runner. So please make sure that you ask me if I check it and if I close it before you launch.
It's his birthday.
Okay. Other question to you: do I need to ask for taxi, or is it answered by the ground crew directly?
Because his father can help somebody. Yes.
DFD.
Please coordinate with DFDs. Thank you.
Okay.
Oui, alors. Immigration is national, it's not from the province. The embassy is very...
Ja, ist gut.
Ouais, t'écoute.
Solar impulse for solar control.
Yeah, go ahead.
André, if you're ready to copy some tasks, let me know, please.
Okay, I will let you know.
Mais est-ce que c'est Philippe qui demande le taxi ou c'est André? Ouais. Ouais. Alors il est où Philippe? C'est quoi les body checks? C'est quoi? Ok, mais et puis t'as des nouvelles de règles? Comment ça se passe là?
Oui.
Ok, mais l'avion vous êtes release, tu penses? Ou comment ça se passe? Quel est le statut exact? C'est seulement Bertrand qui est bloqué?
On est bien, 2-6.
Ah ouais.
L'autre est toujours aussi inscrit, mais Daniel va la pile.
Oui, salut. Alors.
Ouais, j'ai 2 batteries. Ouais.
Go ahead.
Ok, si l'avion bouge, ça veut dire qu'il est released for takeoff sur le plan administratif. Donc 40 minutes. Pourquoi 40 minutes? Ok. D'accord. D'accord. Ok. Merci. Super. Ok. Alors. Ok, merci à toutes.
Okay, so the control safe house and ready.
Okay, we sent you an email according to the coordinates which we have to correct. Did you receive the email?
Yes, I received it. So these are the final projects?
Correct. And we would like to use these coordinates now.
What I would personally recommend we do, you know what I would recommend we do? Instead of using the final approach fix, I personally would use the airport reference point. And from the airport reference point, calculate for both runways what the final, 1.5 miles nautical final, how much it is compared to the airport reference point, and at which altitude I should be.
You're watching Solar Impulse TV, live images from Ahmedabad International Airport. Us here at Monaco Mission Control, all waiting to find out what is going to happen and when this plane can get off the ground and head to Varanasi. The man who's got all the information is right next to me. Very lucky to have Raymond, the flight director. Hi.
Hi again.
Still smiling?
Yes, still smiling. And if you look at the pictures, I think in a few seconds or a few minutes, we'll move the aircraft. So it's going well. And now we plan the takeoff in about 40 minutes from now.
Okay.
So I think
that's because we need 20 minutes to get from where we are to the tarmac.
25 minutes, and then the final call. Everybody ready on the runway and so on. So I just had the call from there, and let's say past Monaco time, it will be good.
How much do you know about the negotiations that have been going on behind the scenes?
Not much, because they are negotiating, and so they don't have much time to speak to me. But I'm confident that Greg is working as always on 200%, and he will solve the problem.
And the problem, just a reminder, it was a customs issue. They were waiting for a piece of paper. And if we didn't get that, then the air traffic controllers could not give us the go-ahead.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. And, well, as you probably know, our supporters on Twitter have been actually trying to contact the Prime Minister of India, who is from Gujarat. Maybe that made a difference. Who knows?
For sure. I
it
think
could help.
It can help, yes.
And Bertrand is famed for his powers of persuasion. I'm sure that he was doing everything in his power to do that. Raymond, thank you very much. As you say, you reckon about 40 minutes?
Yes. Yeah.
And then we'll be off to Varanasi. Now, we're within the window for the takeoff. How does this affect our landing?
Of course, the landing will be also a little bit delayed. Maybe we can increase a little bit the speed, but this will decide once airborne, and we'll make replanning with the actual situation, and then we'll decide if we go faster or not. And it's not a problem because, in the evening we have almost full batteries because we will descend towards Varanasi, and also if we are 1 hour or 1.5 hours later, we will still have very good state of charge in the batteries to allow the takeoff for tomorrow morning.
Okay, it's all great news. So all is going to be fine, and the pit stop, of course, means that we can't stay for too long in Varanasi because already you've got to get ready. I know you've got a briefing today to talk about tomorrow's flight, Raymond. And as you're speaking, we can see the plane being pulled onto the runway. So I would imagine that you need to get ready. Thank you very much for that update, Raymond. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And what you can see now is Solar Impulse 2 with André Borschberg inside the cockpit, being literally pulled onto the tarmac, onto the runway.
Yes.
Press Tango X-ray.
And as Raymond was saying, luckily we do have quite a considerable flight window, i.e. the time within which it's safe for Solar Impulse to take off. For example, if the wind is too high, we can't take off. If it's too humid, if there's too much rain, we can't take off. And ironically, if there's too much sun, we can't take off because too much sun can actually damage the solar cells when the plane is in this situation. You saw the picture breaking up a little bit. That's perfectly normal. We have to work within the same restrictions as everyone else on Solar Impulse here at Solar Impulse TV. And we haven't actually been given the right to take all of our equipment onto the runway. So what we're doing now, what you can see now is a picture from a camera which is linked physically to the tent within which Solar Impulse was being housed. So as you can see, he can't really go very far. We have another camera which is working, I think that's the camera we can see now, which is working via the phone network, via 3G and 4G SIM cards, in fact, give us those images, and that's working well at the moment.
We have to switch on the video recorders on the left.
And that's the third option there. We have cameras actually inside the cockpit, and we can get some images from there as well. So those are the kind of restrictions we're working under, but we're doing our best to bring you all the pictures that we can of this takeoff, which, as we now have been confirmed, is going to happen with a delay. We don't know the details. That's going to be another story to come out later on. What exactly happened? How Solar Impulse managed to convince the Indian authorities to let us leave. Today's flight is not expected to be complicated. An estimated 15 hours, which is long for any pilot, and not particularly long for Solar Impulse, but 15 hours is still 15 hours within a cockpit which is less than 4 meters cubed. And as Raymond, our flight director, was saying, that we're going to use this flight to test the sleeping procedures. The pilot will be able to sleep for a maximum of 20 minutes when he's flying over the oceans, over the Pacific or over the Atlantic. So this will be an opportunity to test that out, to see if the yoga techniques that André has been practicing will help him to relax sufficiently and as much as possible, so that he can get into a really good sleep for around 15-20 minutes in those calm winds that we're expecting. Meteorological conditions are pretty straightforward on this leg as well, from Ahmedabad to Varanasi. The geography, the topography is quite simple as well for this flight. The second leg will be a little bit more complicated, but we will come to that. We'll cross that one when we get to it. Let's get this one out of the way first. So just over 1,000 kilometers to travel over a period of around about 15 hours. The plane has to be literally pulled out from its current position by the ground crew and taken over to its takeoff position. So in around about half an hour's time, we are expecting to be leaving the state of Gujarat in India for Uttar Pradesh. It's been an extraordinary time in Gujarat, so thank you to any Gujaratis who are watching this right now. And we've had so much social media traffic from you as well. I know there's been lots and lots of enthusiasm for Solar Impulse in Gujarat, as there has across the whole of India. Gujarat, a real pioneer when it comes to climate change. It's the first state in India, in Asia in fact, first state in Asia to set up a climate change department, and only the fourth state or province in the entire world. So India leading the way in terms of climate change. There's more solar installations than any other state in India, and 15% of India's renewable energy comes from Gujarat. This flight, an internal flight for us. We're staying in India, heading to Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh, one of the holiest, if not the holiest city in India, a spiritual center for Hindus and Muslims. There are many holy sites there. Varanasi on the banks of the famous Ganges River. We have a new addition to the team in Solar Impulse. It's our cartoonist, Martin, who's come over from Belgium and has been doing a wonderful work. Look, you can see, I'm sorry, Solar Impulse, Mr. Impulse, you don't look at all like your passport photo, and this is something that he's done already for us, Martin. He's a real fast worker. And if we get a bit of time after takeoff, maybe we can take you through some of the best cartoons that he's drawn for us since he's been here. We've got another job for him as well. For our landing show, we're going to get Martin physically sitting here, and he's going to be drawing cartoons for us during the landing show. We'll be able to show them to you on Solar Impulse TV. A lot of traffic on social media as well. Lots of people commenting on this delay, saying, what's going on? Come on, India, the whole of the world is looking at you. Did that have an effect? Well, you never know. It's had an effect before. But whatever it is, thank you to whoever made this possible, whether it was someone at the airport, someone in the regional government, the national government, for unblocking this situation. Looking forward to sharing that story with you on the landing show. Of course, landing is going to be slightly delayed now. And as soon as we get an estimated time of arrival, we will have that on solarimpulse.com.
Solar Impulse, around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
We're very pleased to be able to show you these pictures of Solar Impulse being towed to its takeoff position.
We will do a 180 degree with the aircraft, so we would face the wind. Then we do
If you haven't been watching the program right from the beginning, then you might have missed all the drama when we had a situation where our pilot was in the plane ready to go. Then he got out of the cockpit because nothing seemed to be happening. We were even discussing the possibility of cancelling this flight. But luckily that hasn't happened. He's back in the cockpit. You can see him there. That's a live picture of André Borschberg in the cockpit. And this picture you can see from our fixed camera position. We're quite limited because, well, the plane nearly didn't take off today because of a piece of paper. We've got a similar situation for Solar Impulse TV. Our cameras very restricted in what they're allowed to film.
Okay, you see the DC3
we weren't able to take our full complement of cameras onto the runway. So this picture, there you go, you can see it's starting to break up a little bit now. And this camera, this is a live picture taken by our intrepid cameraman who is actually bringing you these pictures via a 3G card. So this isn't satellite, this is coming to you via a mobile phone network in India. So if the picture breaks up a bit, you'll understand why, but we're just happy to have any pictures, really. We might be able to get a sneak peek of the pilot in his cockpit as well. We've got another third option, what we call SATCOM. The pictures that you can see throughout the whole flight of André Borschberg in his cockpit. There he is. If this is the first time you've seen a Solar Impulse flight, then you might not know that you can follow André and the Mission Control Center right through until landing. There they are. There's a lot going on during the flight. It's going to be a busy one. 15 hours, André's saying, is nothing. They don't have time to do anything. They don't even have time to listen to any music. Gets to something when you're so experienced at Solar Impulse that 15 hours is a short flight. But there you go. That's what André was saying, that they have so many things to go through, so many checklists to go through, they're using these flights to test the equipment and the systems. And he has interviews to do. He's got media calls. There are publications, radio, TV, newspapers phoning him live during the flight. And you will be able to hear those interviews as well by sticking with us on solarimpulse.com.
Ok, c'est parfait, on continue, il n'y a plus besoin d'avancer au train principal. On fait place du sur place maintenant, donc vous vous arrêtez au train principal et surtout on tourne l'avion. U-turn. Vas-y, Richard, tu avances. Kevin, you go backward. Northeast. More.
If you can hear that, that's the voice of the head of the ground crew, Niels Rieser, just explaining that now it's time to just turn the plane for its final position for takeoff.
On avance un petit peu maintenant au train principal en direction de la piste. Doucement, on avance. Et on continue le U-turn. On regarde Daniel à l'aile gauche pour le wingtip avec l'avion. Il a le pouce levé. On continue doucement le U-turn.
English is of course the official language of Solar Impulse, as everyone told me when I first joined the project, but there's a lot of French going on.
Et maintenant, on va sur le taxiway. On continue à tourner. Joli.
And he was just explaining that they will be moving the plane forward a little bit. They're pretty much doing a U-turn there.
Ok, on commence à ralentir la rotation. Slow down rotation, and we will start in the taxiway axis.
Solar input from solar control.
If you're watching this broadcast directly via our website, solarimpulse.com, as I'm sure many of you are, take a bit of time now to have a flick around and discover some of the different aspects of this brand new website, because you can actually look live at the same controls that the pilot was looking at. Pitch elevation. Obviously, there's not much happening now, but it'd be great if you can watch those instruments at the same time as watching SITV when the plane takes off, because you'll see all of the action. You'll see what's happening with the solar generators, the battery power, the speed at which the plane is moving, the elevation of the plane, and this is all real time. So everything you're looking at is what the pilot is looking at. Altitude, ground speed, battery state of charge, it's all there for you to look at. And our partnership with Google has meant that we have a bespoke Google map taking you through where the plane is exactly in real time. Now, well done to those guys for parking in precisely the wrong place.
Ok, Philippe, toi tu trouves que c'est une bonne position, tu nous dis, on mettra le train d'atterrissage dans l'axe du ciblage et on pourra faire les relais. Alors si on est déjà arrivé, je propose qu'on aille l'emporter de la piste. Philippe, Denis, possible là pour les renards, quand on est pas près de la piste, il y a des arrivées.
Can we go? Makes no difference.
Not very good to make it later because each animal if we have some wind, we have to put it on some animal. Then we should try a short checklist because we set it so we'll not change it now, but I suggest we
That's fine. So for now I tell him after.
And a quick hello to Prince Albert of Monaco, who has been with us for all the takeoffs and landings so far. Couldn't be with us today, but I'm sure he's watching this live. So hello to you and congratulations to Monaco FC for progressing through to the next round of the Champions League, even though Arsenal beat them 2-0 on the day. Doesn't matter. The aggregate score was 3-3 and Monaco go through in away goals. Well done. And let's hope that Prince Albert can come and see us for the next landing. We were hoping to see Prince Albert in the pub for St Patrick's Day yesterday, but we were a little bit busy with preparations for this flight, so we missed out on that one. So anyway, happy St Patrick's Day, belated St Pat's Day to Prince Albert. And we look forward to seeing him back here soon in his new job as pilot communication. He was giving the takeoff the green light for the last 2 flights and welcoming the pilot on landing as well. So we'll see him again soon, I hope.
Okay, and I'm putting them to I guess it's the power completely, yeah. On board.
We have to go in the bus.
Copy.
Huh? We have to go now in the bus.
What?
Okay. We made the flight.
ATC asked if they allow this aircraft on runway, how much time it will take?
For us, be on the runway.
Huh.
We need 15 minutes on the runway.
15 minutes, madam. 1 5.
Live pictures from the runway at Ahmedabad International Airport. And as you can see, plenty of members of the army who are there. Normally, it's not possible to film at all on the tarmac. So this is a very unusual situation for members of the Indian Army. But we're still able to bring you these pictures from a camera using 3G cards. So this is coming to you over a mobile phone network, but the pictures are looking pretty fantastic, I have to say. You can hear the noise of the engine runner. One of the final pre-flight preparations before André Borschberg leaves the state of Gujarat to take off for Varanasi Airport. A 15-hour flight, just over 1,000 kilometers. No major problems expected. It's not a particularly complicated flight. The weather's great. No real wind to speak of, and no problems expected between now and Varanasi.
Hello. Hi.
This is the first of 2 flights. It's a pit stop, as we call it. That means that we're going to be carrying on straight away after this flight, after a few hours break to change pilots, to leave Varanasi straight away for Mandalay in Myanmar.
Est-ce que tu as des nouvelles du trafic?
Sur l'impulse, sur le contrôle. We would be ready for switching on the balances.
Okay, so balance on the left side.
And thanks to all of you who've been sending in tweets and messages and other social networks, on Facebook, Google+, or anything else that's out there that I've forgotten. Mostly Twitter, though. I know Twitter's been really, really busy on everything to do with solar impulse. So keep that coming. We do appreciate it. We do try and answer as many as we can. It's been a bit difficult this morning with all the messages we've been getting. Send us questions as well. Any questions, we'll do our best to answer them.
Right side test, balancer. Finished? Okay, balancer test finished. Thank you.
Okay.
You're looking there at mission engineer Christoph Schlettig on the right, Andreas in the middle, who's today's pilot communication, today's Capcom, and next to him, Raymond,
Okay,
our
if
flight director.
possible, we would now try to use all cameras one after each other. So start, with whatever you want, but the last one should be the Victor Sierra Tango camera.
That has been anticipated for the and I was sending my regards and good wishes and
okay, so switching the cameras to the next one.
Okay, good.
Confirm
Merci.
VST.
Looking at live pictures. Oh, you were. Anyway, it went green, but there was a lovely live
Gondola.
picture from one of our cameras on the plane. There we go. We're back again.
We see the camera from the left gondola.
And we are doing our level best to bring you the best possible pictures.
Now we have the cockpit.
Takeoff of Solar Impulse 2, which is expected in just a few minutes' time.
And now we have on the front.
All the
camera
pre-flight
cockpit.
preparations have now been completed. We've seen the full
Which one do you
engine.
want?
Which one do we want for takeoff? We want the VST for takeoff. Thank you.
Ok, on est prêt dans 2 minutes.
Perfect.
André Borschberg, today's pilot, extremely experienced pilot, handling the stress very well. He always looks very calm.
Sorry, Impulse from Monaco.
He's been sitting there for quite a bit longer than he was expecting. Which
When you are ready, you should tell this to the tower and
we had been
they
hoping to take
will
off.
give you the clearance or waiting instruction.
Okay, we did that. Fly 145 ready for taxi. 145 traffic 1.105 Bravo. Time 17. And 0.0705 Bravo. Time 1751. When you do it, let's show you this. Yeah. Suspect 1 minutes. Yes, solo control for titles. Any person will be moved in shoulder.
Say again.
The time now is 6:48 local time in Ahmedabad. 18 minutes past 2 for us here at the Monaco Mission Control Center. And you're looking at pictures of Solar Impulse 2 on the runway. And we're just waiting for that final go for takeoff. This takeoff, which has been delayed today, not by wind, not by rain, not by any problems with the plane or the pilot, being delayed because of problems with customs. Customs at the last minute, we learned needed one more piece of paper. If they didn't get that, they weren't going to let us take off, and they weren't going to let air traffic control give us the permission to take off. So that's why it's taken so long. Something happened between then and now, because we've got a pilot in the cockpit door closed, all the pre-flight preparations ready, so somewhere along the line someone has changed that decision. But looking on the bright side, it's allowed us to have this lovely shot of the sunrise over Ahmedabad in the background.
Okay.
This is Solar Impulse TV live from Monaco Mission Control. And what you're looking at there is live pictures of Solar Impulse 2 at Ahmedabad International Airport on the runway. And just awaiting the final go-ahead to take off, which we're very confident that we're going to get because we have a pilot in place. We're going to try and get an update on what exactly is happening now. It may have something to do with the other traffic at Ahmedabad. We did have a flight slot at 5:30 local time. It's now 7:50, so with all the traffic that you'd expect in an international airport, that probably having some impact on what flight slot we can get. Other complication, of course, is our flight slot is a little bit different with all of the preparations that we need. It does take us a longer time. Takeoff itself is not particularly long, but then the plane moves extremely slowly. Turbulence is always an issue. We can't have other aircraft flying too near the plane because the plane is so susceptible to turbulence that could really be problematic for us. So we have to make sure there are no planes flying near Solar Impulse at any time.
We will let you know.
Wind is also a problem. We can't really have wind speeds at ground level beyond 9 or 10 knots. That's one reason why we try and take off early to avoid thermals. There's a nice contrast there between the aviation today and, who knows, the aviation of tomorrow.
Tower facing southeast after completion start off route. I place it position on the control station mark. I place it position on Papa Alpha Lima. Correction, Papa Bravo Lima 1 stand 1-2. Bravo Lima 1 stand 1-2. Okay, 1 for fire 05. Clear for takeoff and 02020 now. Clear for takeoff and 05. Fly 145.
You're watching Solar Impulse TV live as we await takeoff of the third leg of our groundbreaking round-the-world flight attempt from Ahmedabad in the state of Gujarat. That's where we are now, that's where the plane is, to Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh. Two pit stops in a row, which means that the first two flights took place back-to-back from Abu Dhabi to Amman and then Amman to Ahmedabad. And the second pit stop takes us from Ahmedabad to Varanasi, and then straight away, after a few hours from Varanasi to Mandalay, and we'll say bye-bye to India. And we expect to be in Mandalay Thursday evening local time.
I like it. I fly in 125, 126, contact radar 198. 198, good day, sir, after 125. Okay.
If you've been following all the information on solarimpulse.com, or you're a member of our supporters club getting the newsletter, you will probably know that this takeoff has been delayed now by just under an hour and a half. Problem with paperwork, of all things.
Ok, la prochaine fois, vous nous avertissez parce que je veux dire là, il y a un manque de coordination.
But the luck has been with us because our flight window was quite a big one. That means that it's still safe for us to take off now in weather terms. The wind is low, the weather's great. The team here in Monaco at Mission Control are looking pretty relaxed, concentrated but relaxed. It's still going to be possible for us to take off. We've still got a bit of time left within which it's safe for us to take off from Ahmedabad. We are taking off from an international airport with a lot of traffic. You could see, and maybe you heard the sound of some of those big commercial airliners taking off, so we have to get our slot. The man standing up there behind Andreas with the glasses is Yves André from the air traffic control team. They're probably discussing right now, try and get some confirmation of that.
Solar impulse, solar
The
control.
situation. Now these guys from our air traffic control team, they're in constant contact with regional air traffic control centres. So they'll have been on the phone all morning to Ahmedabad air traffic control. They have quite a story to tell us once the plane is in the air. The other story for today will be how Bertrand Picard and Greg Blatt, our head of communications, managed to unblock this situation with customs.
Stand by just for 2 minutes. Okay, so I took control around 10:04 and connect on the runway.
And so the control time pass, we should be clean in 2 minutes, as I have told.
Go ahead, David. That is the number of the school entry side. Number 05, Bravo, Terminal 1, Bravo, past the initial 272 for the radar, for the passage factor 202. No, maybe runway to see when the was not Number 0500, I will reported to you not. Correct, sir. Ahmedabad, good morning, here in 982. 982, good morning. And 31, Echo Alpha, the registry request, we have start destination. Ahmedabad, level leader 30,163 on board also. Security are India, National 8. Yeah, 982, stand by, expect delay. And would request runway 05 for departure. Oh, yeah, expect delay to solar aircraft departure. Coming, sir. And runway 28 is clear to Mumbai by with 1 now. Runway 5, Bravo Victor 1, Bravo Mother. Bravo Victor 1, Bravo departure. Bravo Victor 1, Bravo departure. Line up runway 05, report ready. Line up runway 05, report ready. Request start.
Okay, this could be another guy lining up before us. Well, we'll see.
Request, cover of the minute only. 030204. Runway 05. Just line up,
Oh.
Hotel Bravo, Sierra, India Bravo, report your requested level.
Initially, level 528% load test takeoff.
Yeah. To Central 105, Alpha Delta 1020 knots. Just pick up runway 5.
No hurry.
Bravo Tower. Pick up at runway 05, you can line up runway 05.
Okay, you can on the runway 05, we are clear to line up 05. We'll take him up.
Clear to line up.
This is Solar Impulse TV. You might have noticed a bit of movement there, a bit of action, and that's because we are getting nearer to takeoff. Now, my understanding is, from the latest information, that we're looking at takeoff in around about 5 minutes' time. There's the press. We've got a number of people who are having to leave the runway, which is a bit annoying for us at Solar Impulse TV. We're going to try and get you what pictures we can.
So we clear to line up.
We copy.
And it seems that only essential personnel are being allowed to stay on the tarmac.
I suggest the solar control from Solar Impulse that we switch the generator on at the same time.
Okay, please switch on the solar generators.
Okay.
So just to repeat, we are getting nearer and nearer to takeoff from Ahmedabad. I know it's taken a while, but it'll be worth it. It'll make it all more enjoyable once André Borschberg, our pilot for today, manages to get us off the ground. Someone should have cleaned that window, seriously.
Solar Impulse, solar control. Please also please close the small door.
Turn right, direct India, your data, and to flight level 50. Our battle score 324.
These pictures are coming to us live from a bus. That's probably a first for us.
Report ready, Jamabu.
Yeah, then after you coming back, please come with me. They don't listen me. They don't listen me. Yeah. Shall I come?
Okay, and please already to India Delta.
Solar Impulse 2 has now been manoeuvred into position on the runway.
I will follow the route now.
Ready for takeoff.
And please already to India Delta flight level as you
Cameras on the plane as well, inside the cockpit.
That's copied, thank you.
And you will be able to follow the flight. We
confirm the small door is closed.
In flight.
You
can also follow the progress of the plane on the Google map on solarimpulse.com. And you can look at all of the instrumentation that the pilot can see within the cockpit. It's all real-time information. None of it is made up. What the pilot is seeing is what you're seeing.
Okay, this only
You can even
displayed
check
if
his
the
health
engines are switched
by
on.
looking at one of the sensors that he has. It tests the amount of oxygen in his blood. Make sure he's got enough oxygen in his blood if he's breathing properly and staying healthy. Just a few minutes now to go until Solar Impulse 2, piloted by André Borschberg, will take off from Ahmedabad International Airport in India for this third leg of the Solar Impulse round the world flight attempt, taking us to Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh, the famous holy city of Varanasi on the banks of the Ganges.
Okay, donc we keep the line open between you and me for the final readiness. Okay, good.
You're looking at live pictures coming to you from Monaco Mission Control. As ever, concentrated, relaxed, and just waiting for the final go-ahead. In the next few minutes, we're expecting takeoff from Ahmedabad.
Catching crew is getting slowly to place, and I'm almost the lineup. As you can see, I'm sure on the camera of the tail.
And as soon as we get any more fresh information, we will, of course, let you know.
Solar Impulse from Monaco, I will do the final readiness call on my mobile with Niels and with you on this frequency.
Okay.
We would like to be on the other side. Sir, they are this side, we are this side. All right. Yeah.
The voice you heard a second ago is our intrepid Icelandic cameraman, Jon Björgvinsson, doing his best to get the best possible pictures of this takeoff. And if anyone can do it, he can. He's reported from some of the world's worst conflict zones and worst war, so for him, this is like a holiday. These pictures are coming to you from the tarmac on a camera which is transmitting the images via 3G. So that's why you might notice it breaking up a little bit, but I have to say, given the conditions, these are great pictures we're getting from Ahmedabad on the tarmac. So a quick recap of what happened today. The Solar Impulse plane was expected to take off at 5:30 local time. It is now 11 minutes past 7 local time. And the initial reason for that was for an administrative problem, an oversight, which meant that a piece of paper customs were expecting didn't arrive. As a result of that, air traffic control did not give us permission to fly. And this morning it was touch and go whether or not we even managed to get the plane on the runway, but we've got that far now. André Borschberg is waiting patiently, and as you can see there, the Solar Impulse plane is now maneuvered into position. That's a live picture from the plane itself. We've got cameras on the plane, we've got cameras in the plane. And this is our live camera on the tarmac.
Alors, laquelle je sors déjà? Celle-là.
So an hour and 3/4 late. So André Borschberg, who's been up very early already, has to add that hour and 3/4 onto the 15-hour expected flight time of this 1,000-kilometer journey from Ahmedabad to Varanasi. he will get a chance to have a rest. We're going to use this flight to test some of the equipment and systems of Solar Impulse 2. Both pilots relatively new to this plane. And there is a stability augmentation system which allows the pilot to rest for around about 20 minutes in calm air, and we're expecting calm air on this flight. No real turbulence is expected. In terms of weather, this is a pretty easy flight as Solar Impulse flights go. So André will be using the yoga techniques he's developed over the last few years with Solar Impulse to really try and relax for at least 20 minutes. And this will be good practice for the long flights across the ocean, up to 5 days, 5 nights. One pilot in the cockpit, non-stop. And all of these flights are being used to prepare the pilots for the really big challenges to come.
Okay.
Go.
Are we getting ready?
Yeah, the ground crew is soon ready. I think another 30 seconds.
We're in the final seconds now for takeoff. Just a few seconds to go, so stand by. If you've been with us since the beginning, we hope to reward your patience with live pictures of this takeoff from Ahmedabad to Varanasi.
Solar Impulse, just to confirm, you are ready.
This is ready, yeah.
Okay. So Niels, just wait for you from media, safety and ground.
Prendre un café après, non?
Tout le monde t'aime, Jean.
Il y a tout le monde qui t'aime, tu sais ça. C'est ainsi que je vous quitte.
Okay, Solar ground, you are ready. Solar safety, are you ready? Niels, il faut me donner la réponse pour Solar safety. Allô? Allô? Okay, solar safety is ready. Okay, ciao. Okay, and solar media is ready?
This is live Solar Impulse TV with the takeoff of Solar Impulse 2 imminent. You may have seen earlier the 2 ground crew on electric bicycles cycling into position. And that is the go. I just heard the go from the flight director.
Release to go with tower.
Raymond for today's pilot, André Borschberg.
We are now ready to departure. Bravo, India, Bravo. And 05, 04, 020, 049.
And there we go.
Ready?
The motor's running up slowly.
Speed alive.
And all of the 4 propellers aligned.
And we lift off.
And here we go, takeoff now, imminent. We're just hoping to stabilize that picture. And there we go, takeoff in just a few meters. André Borschberg in the air at 7:18 local time, 2:48 for us here in Monaco at Mission Control.
28 on the window. And I have 28:29 on the G3.
André Borschberg on his way. The start of the third leg of this round-the-world flight attempt is underway, heading to Varanasi, Uttar Pradesh in northeast India.
I think looks good.
Looks good from here.
Very good. So coming to 650 feet. So 500 feet ground, and then I will retract
So we got there in the end.
Then we slow down to 25 for the time.
And you're looking at solar impulse heading northeast from Gujarat, Ahmedabad to Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh. So well done to everyone who was involved in helping us get solar impulse off the ground. It's been a big job this morning. Hopefully we can get a bit of an update on the social media traffic that's been generated by this. There's been loads going on. Lots of people up very early in the morning in India to start tweeting about this flight, sending in their comments, their questions.
Okay, passing 650, retracting out rigor and check now.
Confirmed. Retracting out triggers.
And reduce slowly to
We're going to stay with the plane for just a moment and try and get an update from our social media team on what the action has been. And we're also going to try and get a word, when he gets a moment, from Raymond, our flight director here in Monaco, to find out more about anything that was happening whilst we were on the ground, waiting for a confirmation. Look at that live picture coming to you from on top of the plane.
So, with this now, you advise. Okay, I think we need to do the NDA check as well. So we have to move certainly to the right to see the runway I see.
DPA check and then proceed to the right.
Okay, so the outrigger is fine. It's fully retracted.
Copy.
I will propose that I get the gear up so that I can accelerate the top of the runway to now. Is it confirmed?
Confirmed.
Okay.
I'm gonna read to you the checklist for flight into density populated area. So warning
And
panel.
retracting the here, stand by short.
Okay.
You're looking nice in the sky. Thank you. An experience for us to watch it.
This is Solar Impulse TV. We're following live the progress of André Borschberg, who has taken off an hour and 3/4 after the estimated time of departure. He's in the air now. The MCC team are following intently the progress of André. We're going to get a roundup soon of all of the reaction to this flight. There was a lot of action earlier this morning when we were on the ground and didn't know exactly if we would be able to take off at all. I know that supporters of Solar Impulse were petitioning the Prime Minister of India directly to allow him to unblock this situation that had us stuck on the ground due to a problem with customs, of all things. And we're hoping to find out a bit more about what we've been seeing.
Number 1 Tower, Air India 614. Air India 614 and Bata. It is on board to security. Destination is Mumbai.
Some of the best comments have been coming,
We are fully ready.
coming down.
Air India
On Twitter,
614
Facebook, Google+,
confirmed.
all the main social networks.
Number 3, expected 1 minute impulse departure will address my decision. No worries, sir. Getting back.
Solar impulse, solar control, we have a motor imbalance.
Go ahead.
We are having motor imbalance on engine 4.
Yes. 3 minutes no problem. Thank you for letting me know.
If you now proceed further in runway direction, then we do not cross DPA, or we make the DPA checklist and then you can turn right, whatever you prefer.
We'll do the DPA checklist at then very short because the iPad does not work on the cockpit, so I'm using the other one. Second.
Well, as we follow the progress of André Borschberg, let's take another look at the kind of reaction we've been getting on Twitter in particular. Vincent Colgrave has been up since very early this morning, and I know that Twitter started exploding with Solar Impulse traffic way beyond takeoff, and we took off quite late, Vincent, which has given people more time to comment and send questions. I mentioned that just now that people have been petitioning the Prime Minister of India directly to allow us to take off when we were stuck on the ground. Have you had a bit more like that? Any updates?
Almost done. Fine.
Some help because
we got off the ground.
Exactly, so now it's good. But now we have like the live images of the plane, and we have some reactions of people saying, "Wow, we can see really the GoPro feed live, and this is like."
The warnings are
fine.
Right. Well, let's make some of them famous now on Solar Impulse TV. Give a few names there so we can say hi. Some shout-outs.
We have Janam, we have Fleet Hill, she's speaking. We have Simon Cito, who is saying that he would like to, to fly with the plane. So we have a lot of reactions like this.
Has anyone managed to send any photos? Because that was our challenge for yesterday, wasn't it? Send in your photos of takeoff, and from now on, what else do you want? We want landing as well in Varanasi, and maybe takeoff tomorrow in Varanasi. What exactly do you want people to send in?
Well, we like, if possible, as much pictures of the takeoff in Ahmedabad, because a lot of people were here. We want as you said, landing in Varanasi, because the plane will land at sunset, so we expect a lot of nice pictures. And for people all around the world, we want them to support Future is Clean.
There's a nice one there, a nice picture that was sent in of Takeoff. Thank you to, can't quite read that from here, who was that? But more like that. Vincent wants them all, and you mentioned Future is Clean. A quick reminder, Vincent, of Future is Clean.
Future is Clean is a movement that we launched with during the Takeoff in Abu Dhabi, where our goal is to gather a community of people really willing to take actions for clean technologies and to change the way we are doing things right now, especially in 2015, as we are flying around the world.
Yeah, lots of famous people have already signed up, but it's not just about them, it's about you, any of us. It's an issue that involves all of us, hoping for a cleaner world, a world that doesn't use fossil fuels, a bit like Solar Impulse, a plane which is flying right now using only solar energy. And as our pilot André Borschberg said this morning, it's actually going to land in Varanasi with more fuel, i.e. solar power, than when it took off, which is unique, really, when it comes to transport at the moment. So that's what we're all involved in. That's what we're all hoping for. Futureisclean.org. You can also go onto the website, the brand new Solar Impulse website, solarimpulse.com, and you can find all the information there. So, as Vincent was saying, you want more pictures of the takeoff from today?
A lot,
please. Yeah, anything you've got from Ahmedabad. We will be with you for a landing show when we arrive in Varanasi. I'm not sure exactly what time, but it's been delayed a little bit. We're going to check with the MCC team here, and Vincent, of course, will do his best to let you know when that landing show will happen, and maybe your photos, your vines or other videos will be on that show. And there are things to be won as well. Future is Clean. It's, yeah, we're quite generous that way, aren't we? Well, our partners are, I have to say, with their prizes.
Exactly. We have Mazda, our host partner in Abu Dhabi, who is helping us there because they are providing with the 3 top prizes. And the first one is a trip in Abu Dhabi to watch the landing of Bertrand Piccard in Abu Dhabi for completing the round-the-world trip. So.
Okay, Vincent, thank you very much. Now, I know you're very busy. Thanks for sparing some time. I'll let you get back to your
pleasure.
To your post within the MCC. He's got his own desk there and everything. And Vincent's role is to liaise and find out exactly what's happening with the MCC so he can communicate with you that information as soon as he gets it. Thanks again, Vincent. So the plane has taken off now. André Borschberg took off a little earlier from Ahmedabad after what seemed like it could be a very long delay. We were quite lucky. We stayed within the window that we had to take off. We had until around about 9 a.m. local time. After that, the conditions would deteriorate, and also it would be impossible for us to get a slot to take off from what is a very busy international airport. So the plane has left now. I think that we can bring you again some of those images, some of the best images we have of today's takeoff from Ahmedabad. So it was a tense situation earlier today. There's Bertrand Piccard on the phone, just negotiating with, well, we don't know who exactly, we'll find out later, but presumably speaking to the various airport authorities, the customs, to try and get us off the ground. There's some tense faces. That's Gregory Blatt in the hat there, again, trying to negotiate. But then we managed to have some kind of breakthrough. That was when we saw the cockpit door being attached to the plane. That meant that we were getting at least a provisional go to start moving the plane to its final position. Had to wait for some airliners to take off first before we could get our slot, and then finally we got the go, and look how quickly it is for us to be able to take off. Just a few meters and a smooth takeoff. Very, very calm conditions, not really much wind at all. And that's one of the reasons why we were able to be fairly relaxed about the delay and take off. And there we go, that's the image we were all waiting to see this morning. André Borschberg heading off towards Uttar Pradesh and Varanasi. And we can get a bit of an update now from Flight Director Raymond, who's with me now. It's been a long one, hasn't it, Raymond?
Yes, exactly 1 hour 48 minutes delay on our planned takeoff. But as we said, we have some reserve. So, but it was a long processes. I'm very happy now. We are airborne. Everything is fine. Smooth takeoff. Gear is retracted. Our triggers also. We did the first climb check procedures also to fly over DPA, and it's under control. So, yeah. Now.
Yeah. So the DPA, the densely populated areas, which for an experimental plane to fly over such areas is very rare.
Yeah, because our engineers, they try to have an aircraft with a lot of backup systems and so on. But before entering a DPA, we need to check everything. We have a specific checklist for that. That's the reason also why we flew a little bit, maybe 5 or 7 minutes straight ahead before we retracted the gears, and we went through this checklist together with the Capcom, and now he turned right and crossed a little bit of the city here.
Okay, so despite the delay, we're still on course for the pit stop, which is this flight today, and then a short layover in Varanasi and heading off tomorrow. At the moment, we're still on track for that.
Yes, absolutely. No reason to change the plan now. We have not decided now if we fly faster, but just a second. Yeah, it's Greg.
Well, I'll let you take this one, I think, Raymond, because it's Gregory Blatt, our head of communications. He's had a very busy morning. And, well, I'll let you take that call if you want. And maybe if you come back a little bit later, then
give you an update later.
A little bit of an update if we can get one.
Greg?
And this is a live conversation. This could be exciting.
Hello, Greg.
Maybe he's just going to tell him what he's having for breakfast.
No, it's not. Wrong manipulation from Greg, I think.
Oh, okay, there you go. So they wasn't that exciting after all. But Gregory Blatt had a busy morning, as did Bertrand Piccard. They both had to unblock this situation of getting all the information to customs.
Yes.
We don't know what happened yet, but I'm looking forward to that story. It's going to come out at some point during the day about how they managed to unblock that situation. Of course, we'll let you know here on Solar Impulse TV. So there you go. It's all good. The pit stop is still on. The second flight tomorrow. And Raymond and the team are everyone's looking a little bit tired now. We finally managed to, that nervous energy is all gone now, so we're up in the air, but you're going to be staying concentrated from now until André is on the ground. Is it possible now to get an estimated time of arrival, or you're still looking into that?
The planned time of arrival is local Indian time is 50 minutes past 20. So maybe now we had 1 hour 40 delay, but I think we'll catch up some of this delay. So I would say 21 local time.
Okay, around about 9 o'clock. So 9 p.m. if you're in the Varanasi area, don't forget to get ready, get your best vantage spot at Varanasi Airport, send your photos. We want to see all those photos and we want to hear from you. Any questions as well, any more information? I know you've been really busy on Twitter. Raymond knows everything about this plane. So if the pilots can't answer because they're too busy, Raymond might have a couple of minutes to spare. Okay, maybe.
My team.
Yeah, he's a busy man. Oh, his team, loads of mission engineers. You've got air traffic controllers. We've got, who else have we got? We've got flight strategists. We've got electrical engineers. Even the most technical questions, I guarantee you someone in this room will be able to answer, and Raymond will convince them to come out and answer those questions. Is that true?
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much,
Yeah,
Raymond.
you're welcome.
Lovely talking to you, and thanks to all of you for sticking around for that delay, an hour and 48 minutes later, but we got there in the end. We've managed to do it so far, so leg 3 is underway. And join us again around about 9 p.m. local time in Varanasi tonight. We'll be back covering it live, the landing of leg 3 of the Solar Impulse Round the World flight attempt. See you then. Merci, messieurs.